So again, we do have our Q&A. You have the chat. If you feel like your question is better asked verbally, like it's just going to be easier for you to ask the question, just raise your hand. I'll give you that ability to speak, and then you can go ahead and ask away. So I know we've covered, a variety of different topics with respect to your CRM and some of the features within your website. Some of you guys have been on all of these sessions. Some this may be your first time in here. But what we'll do while I wait to see if you guys do have any questions that pop in, what I'm going to do is kind of jump into your site manager just to kind of give you a look around there. It's your website. So any of these sites that you have, so anything that is on your V2, so if you're in the automated program, you're going to go into the site manager with respect to that site. For anyone that's still on our legacy system, your website links are here down below, which brings you into the back end to make those edits. But seeing as the majority of our clients now are on our automated system, we will go into the site manager. These sites here are definitely, in my opinion, a lot easier to edit, to navigate through, move pages around, add pages, and so on. Now, when you click on that initial site manager link, you're going to be brought to a page that looks similar to this. Some of you may have one site in here. Some of you may have two or more sites in here. It's really just a matter of which site you're looking to make edits on. So if you're looking to add some pages, for example, to your LeadGen site, maybe you want to add a landing page, that sort of thing, you're going to click on this site to make those changes. In this case, I am actually going to go into what I call as a branded website. It's just on an IP right now. So when you first click in here, it does land you on the blog post, with respect to any blog posts that you may have in here. One thing that you can do is in your page builder. So one thing that I really like is, again, when we want to look at the site, it gives us the ability to click it. It sees the live site, right? So we're able to see that at any time. So as we're making changes, we can see how they're essentially presented to the audience that's looking at those sites. But one thing I really enjoy about the page builder, these are all your pages, right? So these are all your menu items as you would see them from left to right across the board. Now, in this case, let's say I wanted to move something over. So let's say I wanted my about, for example, to be at the very end of this page. In your CMS builder, it's as simple as grabbing onto that and moving it to the bottom. So you're just changing that sort order manually just by dragging it. So if I go over here, for example, and hit refresh, we're going to be able to see that the about page, scroll up, is now at the very end, right? So definitely makes it a lot easier. Now, subpages are the same idea. So any of these pages that you see here, menu items that have a little arrow, means that there is subpages below it, right? So same idea. If I click on this, I'm going to be presented with all the submenu items under that page here. And again, I have that ability to change those sort orders on there. Now, anytime you do want to, for example, delete a page, so if I wanted to delete this page, I can just go ahead and delete the page, and it'll, of course, delete from the website. And again, if we go and we hit refresh here, under the sellers, we're going to see that the Uxbridge page has now disappeared. You do also have that ability in any of the pages. So just as an example, if we open and we want to edit this sold listings pages, up in the top right-hand corner, we have this little gear. You can change, the name of the page, the title of the page. The title is what shows up on your browser here. So when someone has it open, you can adjust what the URL is for that page. And of course, add SEO keywords and descriptions to any of these pages that are in your website. Okay. Now, down here, you do also have that ability to hide a page. So perhaps you have a page that you're using for, I don't know, maybe you're doing a community garage sale and you don't want this page just to be visible to anyone coming to it. You want to kind of hidden. Then you can hide the page. So it's not visible. It still exists on your website, but the only way somebody's going to find that page is through a direct URL that you've provided them with. So those are some cool features there. And again, as you're making changes, you would essentially update. You can unpublish the page. You can take it down. And of course, as you're also doing things, you can preview as well. So in this case, I did not make any changes to this page, so I'm just going to close that out. Now, some of you may wish to add pages to your website. Maybe you want to add more community pages. So we can go into that one if you wish. Hassan is asking, yes, we can definitely, this is on record right now, Hassan. It is being recorded. So when we're in our page builder, if we want to add a sub page under any of these pages, we're just going to click this little arrow. You can also just click this little plus sign here to build a sub page. If you want to build a page that's one of your main menu items, you're just going to click this one right here. So let's go ahead and we'll create a sub page under the communities. When you go to create a page, there's different page types that you can choose. So you have about page, you can create blog page, a contact page. You can create your own, which means it's like blank content, an exclusive listings page. You know, these are the landing pages. So the home worth, the street match, if you wish to add those in elsewhere. Listings page, this is the page that just has listings on it, which is what we'll be using here. If you have pre-created content, that one's new to me. And then pre-construction, again, if you're into pre-construction properties, and then of course a testimonials page. Now, anytime you want to present listings on a page, it would be considered a listings page because you're going to set the criteria of those listings. So we're going to set this as a listings page, and we're going to go next. Now we want to name this page. So I'm going to do this. Let's just say I'm just going to send these are listings in Vaughan, okay? Just for demonstration. Now, I may want to say have that same title, but maybe I want to add Vaughan listings so that on the browser up top, it says Vaughan listings, or even Vaughan, you know, real estate listings. And then we're just going to create the page. Now, once we've created a page, you do have the ability to add content, which we'll kind of review in just a moment, but you have your listings down below, right? Now, with the listings down below, you do have settings. So in the settings, you want to showcase. So in this case, this page, do I want to show all the listings or do I only want to showcase my listings, right? So if you're doing like a featured or my listings page, of course, you only want to showcase your own listings in that case. You can have the default view. So in this case, it's on a grid, but if we wanted to showcase it as a map, we can definitely do so. And then you also have that ability to change the sort order. So how are these presented, especially in a grid, which one's showing first? Do we want to sort them based on like newest listing first, or maybe like low to high, high to low, that sort of thing. You also have that ability to change how many listings are presented per page, whether it's on desktop or mobile. And then you do have some other criteria. So if you want to show the filters for those pages, sometimes you may not want to show the filters that you used to find the listings that are on that page. So you can always turn that off. Now, again, any changes that you're making with respect to these settings, you can always go back and change them, right? So if you're ever just wanting to see what that does, you can go in, save it, see what the live page looks like, you know, and make changes as you see fit. So I'm going to change this one now into a map instead of a grid. And what you're going to see here is that it now just shows us a map. The map is very general at this time because of the fact that it has no area selected for it. So that's where we're going to now want to set our listing criteria. So we're going to present those who land on this page with the criteria of the listing. So in this case, it was pretty straightforward. I, just had selected Vaughan, so one city. Now you can get creative with these, right? So if you want to break down pages and create subpages, which perhaps are, by price point or type of home or, whatever it might be, to drive traffic to or include within your website, you can definitely get creative because you have all the filters to really narrow down these listings. Now, in this case, this is going to default to for sale for rent. Maybe I only want to showcase for sale in this case. You can also specify, again, price points, bedrooms, types of homes. And then again, you have like all the additional filters that you may wish to utilize depending on the purpose of this page. Once we have that, we're just going to simply click done. Now the criteria has been selected. Again, we can preview this page. So it's going to open it up in preview. And we're going to be able to see that here. And because the Vaughan was the city selected, the map is now zoomed in on that Vaughan location. We'll zoom it out a little bit so you can see. And it's showing all the listings here as they're presented in Vaughan. Okay, so that's that first part. Now, up here again, you do have that ability to add content to these pages. So content is a great way to help build your organic SEO within your website. So when it comes to Google rankings and websites that are showing up first, Google obviously doesn't want to present us with stale and old content. So the sites that you see more frequently in the search results are sites that have been updated or are being updated on a regular basis with relevant content and related content to what the page has to offer. So when we go into edit, we do have the ability to, add some information in here. Now, what's cool about this is that you can actually show different types of content. So I can have like this nice little blurb of whatever of Vaughan right here, but perhaps once somebody signs in, maybe they get a little bit more information that I want them to see. So once they've registered on my site, they see different information than somebody that hasn't registered on my website. So that's a neat feature that you can do. Now, when of course you're in here, you do have that ability to add your text. You do have more text formatting as well that you can utilize. Of course, you can change the justification, hyperlinks, adding images, adding video, creating tables. And then of course you have some like little emojis or special characters or horizontal lines, things like that. Miscellaneous, this is again, if you want to download, it's, our add short code to essentially view that short code and add, custom script in there that you may have to present something. So that's more for elevated users that would know how to utilize the source code. If you do guys have a script that you're just not sure of, that you've pulled from somewhere that you want to utilize, by all means, just reach out to support. They can definitely assist you with that. Now, again, where I'm just going to go, some things that you may want to add is like, links to the school boards with respect to the schools in Vaughan. It could be like local transportation, about the community in a whole, things like that you want people to see. Now, again, with what you're adding in here, hyperlinking the content, whether it's hyperlinking it to a page within your website or an external website, Google looks at that very positively, right? So if we're talking here and we're talking about the Vaughan schools, for example, I'm just going to go Vaughan schools. If we were to hyperlink to the school board, I believe that's North York School Board, or we might even be able to find the page for the Vaughan schools. When you're hyperlinking, that's a positive because you're now recommending or recognizing another website within your website. But if people start using keywords with their searches that are relative to real estate listings close to Vaughan schools or what have you, Google's going to recognize that your site actually has content relevant to that. Okay, so the more information, more hyperlinks. If they try to have like, two plus hyperlinks when you can. It doesn't have to be anything significant, but it does have a positive impact on your website. So to hyperlink, some of you may not know this, we're just highlighting text. You can also do it with images as well. And we're just clicking on this chain link. The chain link can be found in any website or any editor that you use. It's in your Google or email accounts. You can hyperlink basically any type of kind of Word document type thing where you're adding text. So here we're just putting the URL. In this case, I'm just going to do Facebook because I don't know, I can do the research to find the Vaughan schools, but this is just demonstration purposes. But if we go facebook.com and typically I suggest opening in a new tab because you want the person, especially if they're on a desktop or even on their mobile phone, we don't want to take away your website. We want your website to stay there while they go and look at this other content so they can come back to your website. So I personally, this is a personal thing for myself, I like to always open it up in a new tab when I'm doing any kind of hyperlink. And then we're just going to insert it. So now this content here is hyperlinked, right? So we can see just by going this, there's a link associated with that text. Okay. Now we can open up the link so we can see what it is. As you can see, it opens us up to Facebook. Now, images in here, you do have, of course, the ability to add images. You can upload images. Once they're in here, they're in here. You can choose images from your desktop computer that you have on there. Select those images and go done. You do have that ability to change the sizing, so you can change it just by grabbing it like this. You also have various toggles down at the bottom with respect to editing and formatting of those images. And like I said before, when you select an image, you do have the ability to hyperlink it. That is not what I wanted to do. So this one here, I think it's part of that hyperlink. That's why. Unlink, and I want to link this one because I think, yeah, it linked that one to the same one. So we can still hyperlink the images as well. So we'll open up this one in Bing. We'll open that one in a new tab. And I got to move my little thing here because in the way. Open a new tab and go insert. And again, when we click on it, we can go and you can see what that is by opening that up. And now we're in Bing. Okay, so that's just another way when you have information on your website, or maybe you have the different search pages in your website and we want, okay, these are Vaughn listings. Maybe I want to create a grid, right? So maybe I'm just going to give you a quick example. Maybe you want to create a grid that is, you know, by 4. So you got 4 different images. So let's say I want in this one here, I want to add an image. So I'm going to add an image and add that one back again. And then you can change the sizing. So with change the size, you can do auto will fit. In most cases, you can also change both of these to 100%, entirely up to you. It just depends how it shows in there. I'm just going to add this one. I'm just going to add the ones that are kind of already in here. This one here might, again, if we change this to 100%, we might see it grow a little bit. We might not, just depends on the original size of this image. Yeah, it's not going to change. It's just the padding around it. And then we go in, just kind of doing random ones, just to kind of give an example of like pretending that these are, you know, these are detached, semi-detached, townhomes, condos, just as an example, right? So what we would do in that case is we, of course, would want to hyperlink all of these, right? So that's for the pages in your website that already exist. So I'm just going to open up this one, actually this one, for example, and maybe I have it as this page. So when they hyperlink, I'm going to take that here. So if I want this, so let's say this was specific listings in my site, you know, condos, for example, in Vaughn, then I can hyperlink that image. We can keep it because now they're still in your website. We don't necessarily need to take them to a new tab because they're still in your website. Again, entirely up to you, and insert that. All right, so once we apply all of that, you can see kind of how it presents on here. And I'm going to move this thing back to the top, and I'm going to preview it so you can see what it looks like from a visitor's perspective. Right, so they're going to see all this information here. Obviously, we wouldn't just throw random things in here, but it showcases above the listings. And then again, if we were to click on this one, it's now bringing me to that page that I just had that hyperlink to within there. Again, you can have it so it opens in a new tab if you don't like to take over. But just in one of the other creative ways that you can add different community pages or sub-community pages, or, you know, being creative with the type of listings or home searches that people often create or make or search for. So that's adding the content. Now, if we go back and I want to showcase to you guys the difference between registered content and not registered content, we're going to go in here. So we're going to go back into edit. So if we're going to show different content here, I'm just going to type in here, this is registered. Okay, I'm not going to add anything fancy. Maybe I'll just add a picture so you guys can clearly see the difference. Or it's a little bit more obvious. I'm going to hit apply, and I'm actually going to publish this. Okay, so now it's published. You can save pages as draft. So if you're working on them, you can publish them. Now, if you notice on this website, I am not logged in. Okay, so we created that page. We created under the community pages. It is the Vaughn. Okay, so that is the Vaughn there. Now, if I go to Vaughn and I go to this page, you can see I have that original content that was showcased to you. Now, if I go on here and I'm just going to, you know, log in or create my account, I'm either logged in or created the account already. we'll see how the page opens up on here. So it will change. So now I've registered on this page. You can see now it says this is registered and there's that image. So it's showing me different content reflective, that's different from those that haven't registered. Now, again, what you can do if you kind of want to showcase all the same stuff, but slightly different for the people that are registered, so you don't want it to be such a dramatic transition of what changes on that page. You can, of course, just copy all of this, paste it down below, and then add anything additional that you may want to showcase to those individuals that may have registered on your site in there. So that's another cool little feature that you have, because again, you might have some exclusive content that's you only want to present to those people that are willing to actually sign up on your website. Now, does anyone have any questions? Like, the community pages are generally listing pages, right? So there's a lot of different page types. You can delete pages. So if you're testing things out, it doesn't quite go as planned, then you can definitely delete pages or change them around. And of course, you never have to publish anything. So anytime you do have a draft, you're able to see those drafts in here, which of course you can go back in, edit, and then launch as you see fit. So that is essentially how you would add a pages and some content into those community pages. But again, there's a variety of different pages. So you can do form pages, right? As mentioned, mining pages and so on. Another thing that you and a lot of people like to kind of focus on is either exclusive listings and pre-construction listings. Both of these actually are quite similar when doing it. So one thing to note when you are adding these page types, or these types of listings, I should say, is you do also want to, in many cases, have the same type of page. So for pre-construction listings, we obviously want to create a page that is specifically for pre-construction listings, right? So otherwise you're going to build the page or add the pre-construction properties. You're going to say, where are they? How come I don't see them on my website? It's because you haven't yet built that pre-construction website itself or page for those listings to sit on. So we will kind of go through the pre-construction. It's all data entry. It's pretty straightforward. So when we do want to add a pre-construction listing, we are just going to go and hit the plus sign. Now it's pretty straightforward. So when we're doing a listing status, we're putting an active, we're putting the name of the building, the status of the building as you know it. If you know information about the architects or the developers, expected completion. So maybe it's, December 2023 is supposed to be done. Let's pretend it's getting listed today. You also have the ability to add units, right? So whatever the unit is and starting price. So the more information you're giving to individuals on your website, you can have to it. So let's go like 2-bed. Let's do as it kind of said, 1 bath, and starting price is, let's say, $675. And of course, you can keep adding more units as you see fit. I'm just going to go, I don't think it's going to auto-populate for me. So I'm just going to go address. I'm only partially putting this in. Just to not take up so much of you guys' time with all of this stuff. There we go. Community. And then you can also hide it. Again, if you want to hide it, so only people that have a direct link to it presented to them by yourself, you can definitely do that. Once we've filled out your general, so you have your general, property details, photo gallery, and marketing. So when we go into property details, again, this is where we get to add our nice description of the development. I can spell that. And again, you can add images, formatting, whatever you see fit to really grab that attention. Now, what's cool about this versus our legacy sites is you do have the ability to select the development style of that property. So in many cases, pre-construction, especially in the Greater Toronto or the major urban areas, are often condos. But some do showcase or work side by side with builders, and you want to be showcasing, things that aren't necessarily a condo. So you now have that ability to do so. So when you're selecting those precons, what type of property it is. I'll put this down as a condo. And again, we can put, as much information as you can see. There's some that are required, some that aren't, that sort of thing. You can add all the amenities So each building can add amenities in, deposit structure, any kind of fee structures would go in here. And then a photo gallery. So same idea, we're just choosing images that we would want to associate with this specific property, and you can multi-select in that case, right? So we're adding them all in. And then any marketing. So if you have any virtual tour URLs, if you have an embedded YouTube, if it's on YouTube, you can get the embedded URL, and then a worksheet. So if you have any kind of feature sheet, if you have a URL for that, throw that in there. Those will be presented to the leads. And then, of course, the floor plans, right? So if you have floor plans, you're getting the URLs for those. In some cases, you may need to upgrade, but it really depends on where you're getting those. So it could be a link, a PDF link. When they click on it, it goes there. Now, I am just going to publish this so you guys can see. I do not want that. Let's get rid of that. I've added things that I didn't add in. That's why. There we go. So now it is published. I am going to preview it. So what is kind of cool about this, and I don't want to go this again, is where is my pre-construction pages? So it's obviously under my property details, but this is the pre-construction. So the pre-construction will showcase and present on your website similar to an active listing would, or sold listing if you have access to those. So you still have all those images that people can see. They can open up those images, download those images if they really want to. And then you have all the price, you know, the completion, the square footage, you know, a nice description, all of that information that you have is presented with this. Now you can see here, I haven't validated my information yet on this website. So because of that, it's not giving me that information on here just yet. That's privy to people that are looking to validate some form of communication with you to get those details, but also gives a reason for them to answer you when you are trying to call them with respect to that. Now, I'm pretty confident I have a pre-construction page somewhere on here. Let's go back and see if I do, in fact, have a pre-construction on here. Unless, no, yeah, it's in my drafts. Edit this page, so precon, I'm going to publish it. And fingers crossed, Murphy's Law always likes to make things not show up when you want them to. And that's just what happens sometimes. Only because you're telling, there's my pre-con page there. And that's the first pre-construction listing that we added. So you can see based on the formatting of the listings for this website, it's showing there. It would have the name of that development, the location, you know, the price point they start at, and when it's completed. And again, they can go and view more, and they can view that full listing. So it's a really cool feature that you have that has the same forced registration aspect that the other listings on your website have as well. So pre-constructions are considered, you know, a listing, and we want you to get leads from those. Does anyone have any questions with respect to pre-construction properties, adding them to your website, or any of those types of things, or something that's connected to this, so to speak, on there? Now, same idea is the same with your exclusive listings. It's very, very similar to adding a pre-construction property. Again, it's just data entry on there. So one comment that we recently had was testimonials. So you can see here, the testimonials are here. You can't add the testimonials in the back end, okay? The testimonials have to be added through the website, and then you get to either edit, publish them, or archive them. So how that works, and again, we'll see the testimonials page here. You can do that. So if you have somebody that you have their, obviously, they provided you with a testimonial, you can put their, like, you know, the client name, and then, you know, whatever they're right, you know, she was great. And then submit the testimonial. You, as the realtor agent, you get a notification when somebody does submit a testimonial. So you know that it's sitting in the back end waiting for your approval. If we go in here, I'm just going to hit this again. We can now see that the testimonial has been added here. This also, again, gives you that ability to edit this testimonial. So if you notice some, some errors, some grammatical errors, spelling errors, whatever it might be, you can go in and edit in the back end, of course, and then ultimately publish it. So when we publish it, if we go back to the page and hit refresh, we can now see that the first testimonial was added here as well. So that's another, and again, on this page here, if we go into the testimonials page, you do have some ability to make some adjustments on there. So you can always edit every page. In here, we do have our settings, right? So we can change the title of it. So we want to show featured ones first. And again, kind of going in, we can't really change anything there. If you're showing featured, that is going to be when we are editing. If we want to edit this, we can put this, you can hide the testimonial, you can change the author's name when we're doing, of course, the content. But if we star this is now a featured testimonial. Okay, so for starring it, so if there's ones that can maybe have a lot of testimonials, but there's the ones that you really want to stand out. If you feature them, they're going to show first, right? So if you have 100 testimonials on there, the featured ones show up at the top for people to see first in there. Any questions about testimonials at all? No? All right. So if you guys have questions at any time throughout this, please just raise your hand. You can use the chat, Q&A. And again, as I said, raise your hand if you want to speak, if it's easier for you. Now, as we go into your agent info and website settings, when it comes to agent info, one of the things that I'm going to tell you to be careful about is this right here. Okay, so if you come in here and it is unlinked, so right now it says linked to the CRM, that means we've gone in and unlinked it from your CRM so we can customize the information that you see in here. If you link this to your CRM, it's going to pull the data based off of your profile in the CRM. And sometimes that's different from what you want presented on the website. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Now, when you are in here, you can choose like your images. Of course, this is all just pertaining to yourself. So if any of your information changes, you can go in and make changes to those. With respect to all your social media, those here do show up at the top. So you can see here, we've got different social media up here. They do also showcase underneath your contact, your name and title right there. It has to be the full URL. Okay, so not just a handle. It has to be the full URL. If you'd want to open these up on browsers, grab the URL for your profile in each one of those and then throw them in here. Your bio shows up on your website as well. There's a little bio section. This is your board ID. So this is like your agent ID. We throw that in there. If it happens to change, then, it changes. If you change boards, usually you're not having to touch that. You also have the ability to add additional listings as well in here. So the additional listings, perhaps that you want to showcase in your featured listings. So on your homepage of your website, you guys have your featured listing section. If there's additional properties that you want to showcase there that are not your listings or let's say even your brokerage's listings that you want to showcase them in the featured, this is what you would do for that. Is you're adding the listing and you're just adding the MLS numbers down there to do that. Yes, Tristan, I'll go back to that in just a moment. And so that's your contact name. It's pretty straightforward, adding your contact. You do also have your website settings as well. Okay, so we probably do want your lead generation on. You turn this on, no one's being asked to give you information. You're going to be wondering why you got all this traffic, but no leads. So probably a good idea. Now, by default, our forced registration is turned off for your featured listings. So meaning your listings, your brokerage listings, or exclusive listings, meaning people do not have to sign up to see those. That was one, again, built for you guys, because some people, like if you have a listing, you want people to access it. You don't want to force them to sign up, especially if you're sharing it all over and then right away they have to sign up. So we've defaulted it to being off on those specific listing types. But again, if you wanted, you say, I don't care, anyone that's looking at a listing on my website, whether it's mine or somebody else's, I would really enjoy that they create an account so you can toggle those on. We did talk about the qualifying questionnaire a couple of weeks back, I believe it was, with respect to those that pop up that appears when someone comes to your website. Of course, you do have the ability to change those pop-ups. If we go into the edit here, just on the buyer, you can change the title of those. You can change, what the description is when somebody's on there. And this one here, we leave it as allow them to close that questionnaire. It's not forcing them then to really answer those questions. Like if they can't close it, it means they got to answer all the questions, right? Pretty much, they got to go dead. Whereas if we don't do that, most of them are still answering the questions. They're just not being forced to. So the moment we start to try to require somebody to go through all these steps to get what they're looking for, often enough they leave because they don't want to do that, right? So we'd rather give them the option. Do they want to do this or not? If they close the pop-up the first visit, it does pop up again the next time they come back. So again, we do try to encourage them to answer those questions, but we're not forcing them. But if you want yours to force people to do it, then by all means, just select that and it's going to force. Now, the questions that we currently have set on the buying side is a first-time buyer, are you pre-approved, do you have a home to sell, a time frame, and then I have a test question in here just to kind of showcase to you that. Now, you can make some of these mandatory, meaning that form's going to keep popping up until they answer that question. You can definitely do that as well. Now, what's also cool about these questions is that some of them, depending on the responses, automatically apply a tag to the lead in your system. So if you're new and you're noticing leads are coming in, they got like first time buyer tag already attached to them. They've got, a homeowner tag or pre-approved tag, just an example, that's reflective of them answering this questionnaire. So down, if we go here, you can see here, we give two options. You're adding your options. You can add more options if you wish to. And then you can also associate a tag with them. In this case, because a first-time buyer, we don't need a tag if they answer no. We definitely want to know if they are a first-time buyer, right? Because if they answer, I have a home to sell, then we can see that, yes, they are potentially a seller. They're not a first-time buyer at that point because they have a house to sell. And again, you can, if they have no, we could ask, are you, different questions as you see fit, or apply tag, right? So the mortgage one, they're either pre-approved or not, needs pre-approval. And then time frame. The only one with time frame that has a tag as we set it up is the future opportunity just looking 1+, because that's really the only one that is set up in our system, how we have it set up to, make sense to add to the leads depending on this answer. Now, of course, if you want to rate people depending on those timelines, right? So you can say like maybe these ones are hot. You have a hot tag, and these ones maybe are warm. These ones are cool. I don't say this is cold, but cool. And then, your 12+ is your 12+. Again, it's entirely how it's going to work for you in the back end. Now, if you want to add a question, so kind of like what I did here, you're just adding a question. Where did it go? There we go. Where did it go? How come it won't allow me? Oh, there's my question. That's odd. So my question goes here. I'm just going to go question 2. Now we're going to add the option. So you give the option of how they're answering. So, right, so they go yes, add an option, no. And you do also have the ability, it's like single select. If you want them to be able to multi-select on different things, you can. You can definitely do that. And then if they're also something about a date, you can also have date selectors as well for them to do. And then again, if you want to have a tag associated to this, we're just selecting, right? So maybe this one here is yes, I'm happy. I get the happy tag if I answer yes. And if I answer no, let's say I get the address. This is just an example to show you what's in here, and then we would apply it. So that is now part of the questionnaire on this test site when somebody comes in here. So it's just a great way to add and gather more information about your leads that are coming in. You do, of course, see that in the notes section on your lead. So any lead that does come in, just as an example, in the notes section, if they answered those forms, this one I don't believe did, those form questions, they are showcased in your notes section right here in Udo, as well as, again, you get that email copy of it as well. And again, the form that your leads receive is reflective of how they signed up. Okay, so if they came in and they looked at rental listings and they signed up looking at rent properties for lease, for example, they're going to get the rental questionnaire. If they go to Homeworth and sign up via Homeworth, they go to your site, they're going to get the seller questionnaire. So it's all reflective of how they registered on there. Now, you do also have cashback. So I know some individuals out there do offer cashback as incentive. If you don't, it's going to be off for you, but you can turn it on if it's something that you do. So you can do your cashback percentage, but base it on a minimum property value, meaning that it's not applicable to all properties, but properties, X amount of dollars and up, that cashback is offered. And then you can put the percentage and the property value. And of course, you will obviously have terms to that cashback incentive as well. When we do go onto the website and look at listings, so I'll just go into Vaughn just to show you, it shows you the cashback on there. You can see the cashback value on there. So this property does not have it because it didn't meet that $700,000 minimum requirement to show that. So it'll showcase on the properties that match the requirements that you specify in the back end here. Your mortgage calculator, again, you can use default values. You can also create your own values essentially on here if you want to display it or not. Again, totally up to you how you go about doing those. So those are some things with your website. The theme, let's go save and exit. The theme itself is where you're able to essentially change some colors. You do have, these themes are a little bit different. I wouldn't play around with these too much. You can test it because you can always revert it back. But there's different themes that we kind of create based on, and what it does really is the filters in the website when somebody's going through here. It then showcases the filters that are reflective of that theme. So for example, if let's say your site is specifically for condos, certain things on here wouldn't be applicable to a condo. For example, it could be above, well, I guess a pool could be, but, likely kitchens plus wouldn't be a thing with a condo, that sort of thing, right? So it just allows you to really kind of narrow these down to be more specific to what people will be searching for based on that theme, if that makes sense. And we can't create themes. So if there is a theme that you want, we can create a theme and then kind of select which filters it is in the back end. For the most part, I wouldn't worry too much about this at this point. But you do have that ability to change the colors of your website in here as well. So it's as simple as, you can put in your own color codes. If you have them, you can change the size of your font. If there is a font style, I believe they may have to be Google fonts. I'm not 100% sure. But you can always have support assist you with that. So Google fonts are free. So if there is a cool font out there that you want to use on your website, just email support. Then more than likely can make that happen for you. If you have, so down here is some more variables as far as color codes. Play around with this 100% because that's what I did. They're just different aspects. So when you're hovering over something, but what, right? So it's like knowing what you're hovering over that changes that. So it does take a little bit of time sometimes. Again, it really depends on how hands-on you are. I'm a little bit tech savvy maybe. But if it's something that, I just want to change my colors for my website. Here I want it to be this green and this gray and this black color. Our support team can take care of that for you. It's not a big issue, but there's sometimes a lot of different things that may need tweaking when you were changing a color. With respect to the home locator, we'll save and exit that. When we go to the home locator, this is with your app, right? So anyone that's on the automated system, you do have the home locator app. If you turn it off, that means no one has access to the app. So I do not encourage you to turn it off unless you don't want anyone using it. Now, this is a cool link right here. You're going to see an option in yours when you go there. It'll say Get Link. Now, some of you may be aware, some or all, that each of your leads have their own little unique app link, right? So part of their campaigns, they're getting this link sent to them. We're trying to get them to download that app and use the app. Now, you may also want to get people that are not inside your CRM to use the app for lead generating purposes, right? So that's exactly what this is. So this is a generalized, unique kind of app to your system, not to a specific lead, but connected to your system. So you can use this in like email signatures that may be external from your system. So anytime you're sending an email out, you've got that app link in there. You can, of course, hyperlink, right? So the hyperlink that we showed in the page builder there, you can do that in your email signatures. Some people want to do this, like maybe you do door knocking or print marketing. Maybe you want to buy a specific app or URL rather that forwards to the app store, to that link. There's a lot of different, maybe you want to run a Facebook campaign, drive people to the app. There's different creative ways. So how this works is if somebody gets this app link and signs up and registers or downloads the app, I should say, from their app store, creates an account, that creates a lead in your system. So if they don't already exist, it creates a lead in the system. If they already exist, the system is going to recognize that they already exist. It's not going to recreate another lead for you in the system. So it's just another cool way that you can generate leads on your own through just simple measures. Now I'm going to ask, so Hassan is asking to repeat about adding a subpage to pre-construction tab, i.e. new page to new builders. Yeah, so basically what you're doing, Hassan, is over here, you would want to make sure you're adding the pre-construction page first, right? So you're just going in, making sure you're creating this page. So you're going next, you have a title, and then it's going to exist on your website. Once it is created, of course, you can add some content on there. But, there's no pre-construction listings unless you add those pre-construction listings. So that's when you would go over and then add the listings. So you can add all the listings first and then add the page. They're just going to automatically show up on the page. So whatever works best. But you can add these listings in. You can add them all, and then all of a sudden create the page and boom, they're all on it. And so that's, I believe that's what you're asking me. But yeah, right from your page builder, if you want it as a main menu item, so showing up on the main menu, main level of the menu, you're going to go here. If for whatever reason, perhaps you want it under buyers, you're going to create it as a subpage by clicking this little plus sign here. That'll create as a subpage underneath this menu category. So hopefully that makes sense to you there. Let's see. So is the buyer questionnaire set up for global buyers, or can be set up for an individual buyer per the requirements? Say I know the buyer and they do not have a property to sell. Can we switch that off? No, you cannot change the questionnaire reflective of that. They come to the website. They don't have to answer the questions. You can tell them just close it out. It's all good. It takes them 2 seconds. So yeah, we're not forcing them to answer those questions as mentioned, so they can close it out if they do not wish to answer them in there. But yeah, you can't, unfortunately, you cannot specify based on someone's location or, the type of person that they are, because the system doesn't know, for one, that this person, right? It just comes with them coming to the website and having to create an account on your website. And then the IP, it's kind of tricky. They would have to build in, multiple forms. There are different rules, which they would do it based on, demand. And I don't think there is much of a demand for that at this point anyway. No, so we do not need to have a Twilio account for the automate the questionnaire. No, the questionnaire, you do not need a Twilio account for that questionnaire to be active on there. Perfect. Perfect. So we do have about 10 minutes left. So I did kind of jump in here. Blog posts are pretty straightforward. Same idea for a lot of these. You can, of course, share your blog post right from here, which is great, driving traffic. But same idea, you just hit the plus sign, you put your title in, your subtitle, you choose an image to go along with that blog post, and then you're writing your content in here, right? Now, once you do have your blog, it'll create the URL based on the title. You can change the author, so maybe somebody else, wrote this blog, you can change that. Now you do have categories, okay? So there's the main category. You don't have to put it in a category. It's just going to default into your blog. But maybe you want to start creating categories. You want to categorize your blogs, right? Maybe like market updates is one category, stuff for sellers, stuff for buyers, in the community, however you're changing those, so you can categorize them. So for example, if I just want to change this one to real estate news, or add it, I should say, it's now created. So once they're in there, you can select which ones you want to put that into. You have that ability as well with these blogs to also add those SEO keywords and description. So for those of you that may not know what a keyword or description is, keywords are essentially just keywords that may be used that are relevant to the content on the page that people might use when performing searches online. So it's kind of taking the keywords, and it's just single words, right? It could be single word to 3-word kind of combination, right? So homes and bond, right? That sort of thing. The SEO description is now a description of what someone is going to actually find on this page. How is it relevant to what they're searching for on Google based on those keywords, that sort of thing. But you can do that. Again, this helps with your SEO rankings. Blogging, I know you guys are realtors. Not everyone likes to write. It does help. It does help your rankings when you do it. There's tons of different things you can get creative and content-wise. Sometimes you just see something on social media, duplicate or replicate that kind of information that you may find is interesting. And again, you can always reference where you got that information through a hyperlink. For the full story and article, please go here, right? So sometimes there's articles out there that we read, not so much anymore since Facebook doesn't allow us to see the news anymore. But there is sometimes articles that aren't easy for people to understand. The average person does not understand the lingo that's being used. So sometimes we need it dumbed down a little bit. Plain English as to what does this actually mean, and you can be that person that kind of dumbs it down for people. You're referencing where you got the information, so if they want to see the full article, they can go here, and that essentially is also helping your SEO because again, you're now referencing perhaps a news outlet within your website as well. But information dump should happen, I would say daily, not all at once, or even if you do it once a week, once every 2 weeks, as frequent as you can, or wish to or care to. 1 day of dump is 1 day of dump, okay? So meaning that if, let's say, you have all your community pages and you say, you know what, I'm going to go in today and I'm going to update all those community pages. I'm going to add a whole bunch of content in there, add my SEO tags and descriptions. That only is considered by Google 1 dump of information. Even though you may have updated 5 different pages with content, it's only 1 dump of information according to Google. So you're better if you have all that information is do 1 dump every single day. You go on this day and then the next day, or wait 2 days and add more and then add more and then add more. You're gradually adding the content to your website. You're not just all throwing it on there at once because it's only taken as a one-time piece of information in the eyes of Google. Can you archive? Is there a place to archive? Not really archive, but you can hide them. So you can't necessarily archive the blog post, but you can definitely hide them on here. And I'm pretty sure you can't archive them. Might be lying to you. Give me one moment. Yeah, no. So there'd be like the hidden ones, right? So you have the published ones, and then you would hide them. So if you don't want people to see them, unless you delete them, but you can hide them. So the content's still there on your website. It's not visible to the traffic that's coming there. Can you post links of latest news? Yeah, so those would be your hyperlinks. So we can post latest news on the blogs. Yes, so those would be your hyperlinks in there. Because again, you can, you're not a news outlet, so you can share this information. They can go into your website. Again, you're sharing pieces of that information with them. But if they do want to, again, get the full story, so you're not ripping somebody, you're not copying it word for word, you're putting in your own words. But again, some people may want to see, where did you get this information from, right? So then you're hyperlinking in there where you got the information from. And then, can an SEO used in my main website to optimize my website, additional SEOs use their blog or precon listings pages? I don't quite understand. Can SEO used in the main web page to optimize my website crash with additional? I don't know. It wouldn't clash with any of the additional. So it's all just keywords, because depending on your all the pages in your website are indexed, right? So everything is indexed on Google. So when they're indexing, those keywords are being used based on those index pages and what they're offering. So if you have your main page as having, this is everything you're going to find with respect to real estate in the GTA, whatever it is, that's not going to clash with the other pages. Because again, all your content, for the most part, should be relevant to real estate in general, right? There's got to be, some of it you might have like in the community stuff, but for the most part, it's all similar topics, but different, right? So it's all similar and relative. It's relative to what you're offering, so nothing's going to clash. Does each SEO keyword need SEO description? You don't have to put an SEO description, no. It's just if like that little description that shows when you do a little search, there's that little brief description that's kind of pulling different keywords, things like that. That's what that description is. So it's kind of showcasing to people what's on that page. Why would they want to choose that page? I personally, when I go and I look at stuff, let's just pretend I'm looking, for, I don't know, how to make flower bouquets. As weird as that sounds, but let's see how you do it. Well, these are the descriptions. So here, these are the descriptions, right? So if they're having, people are searching, like I personally, when I'm searching, I look at the URL, I look at what the description says, and I choose a website that the description is reflective of what I'm actually looking for. So it's encouraged that you add the description probably for that reason. Because if it just has the keywords to pull your site up, people don't necessarily know what's going to bring them to that site or that page. Why would they want to click on that? Right. So just a thought. But that's how I use it. So, and I'm not everyone, but that's just how I personally use it. So it may be better for you to add that in there if it's showcasing, especially the specific page of what they're going to be finding on that page. But perfect. That pretty much wraps it up for today. You guys do have, so one of the things that was mentioned, I'm going to zoom out, get this little hat. So this little feature here in your CRM, right? You got this little hat that now that glows. So this is your trainings, your online. This is like how to. Some of you guys have already gone through all these, but your basic CRM, your lead conversion, talking to leads, things like that. When we click on the heart, again, this is the releases, but it does bring you into the training site. Okay, one thing that you are going to find on the homepage, because today we kind of talked about websites, is all the tutorials on how to use your website editor. So they're all in here. So, your general info and settings, adding pages, hiding pages, all of that. So it's all in here for you guys. So if you want to kind of navigate and learn different things step by step, or as you're looking to add those things, then definitely head on over there to find that. Of course, this is being recorded, but we did cover a lot of different things, and some of them may not be completely relative to what you might be wanting to do with your website. So these tutorials are here. They're pretty short and quick and, to the point. But if there is anything outside of that you can't find in those tutorials, all means just reach out to our support team and we will do our best to get that information to you or help you in any way, shape, or form we can. You do not need to log into Zendesk. You don't need to, you can create an account on Zendesk, but you shouldn't need to log in. Just email our support directly at support at agentlocator.ca. Felix, you should get an email tomorrow. I will check on that. But usually Zoom, you get an email the day after. We've got a bunch of links in there. We do also upload these all to Vimeo as well. So these will be on Vimeo. You may also find it on YouTube. But it's usually all uploaded as of within 24 hours of the live event. These videos should not require you to, none of these videos in here should require you to go into Zendesk. All the videos are right here. Right, so they're all just on the dashboard in here. This is not the Zendesk. This is the training site, not Zendesk. Yeah, two different sites. We've got a lot of different places, Hassan, of where you can find tutorials and how to. This one's just specific to the training site and LeadGen and all that stuff. So all of it's right there. Some stuff is found through Zendesk as well. It shouldn't require you to log in because our articles, generally speaking, unless they're meant for admins, are public, meaning that anyone should be able to access them. So maybe if you're emailing support, it's asking for that. I'm not too sure. But you can... you can email support at agentlocator.ca to get that. And Hassan, I did send you my calendar link to book a time. So it's just a matter of when you do book that time. Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for popping in. We'll see you again next Monday. Again, if there's any topics that you guys want to bring to the table as to learning features of your CRM or website, feel free to shoot them over beforehand, or when you're on the next session, just type up and we'll start talking about those various topics. But thanks again, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of your week.